Hey everybody, how is it going today? We are going to do an ESPN mock draft. Today is May 12th, and ESPN recently opened their mock draft lobby. So today we are going to be doing an ESPN mock draft. We're also going to be talking about the Mark Ingram suspension, and I've noticed a couple. Hold on, let me make sure before I get into this. Okay, let's do a New York mock draft, and you know what? Let's do something weird. Let's pick from the 10th spot and see how it comes out. Okay, so from doing some ESPN mock drafts, I've noticed that. I've noticed that a lot of there's some players that are going very, very low in ESPN's ADP. I mean, low to the point where I was amazed. So I do want to talk about that, but first I want to talk about Mark Ingram. I've noticed in a couple drafts that Mark Ingram is starting to fall to the fourth round, and I think I think a 4-game suspension goes by very, very quick. You guys would have no idea how fast 4 games goes by. I remember there was a girl a couple years ago when Brady got suspended. She got Brady late, and he had like a 4-game suspension, and then the 4 games flew by, and it was a really good pick. So I think normally before the 4-game suspension, I considered Mark Ingram a top 10 running back. I'm not sure if you guys remember last year, but I think like 6 out of the last 9 weeks, at least he brought in at least 20 fantasy points, but that's just my guess. That's not validated. So I've seen people take Alvin Kamara over Zeke, Alvin Kamara over David Johnson. Keep in mind, guys, that his fantasy value raises for a 4-week period. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, I'm just saying, like, honestly, though, at this point, if I had a choice between Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt, I would choose Alvin Kamara, and I would have chosen Alvin Kamara prior to the suspension, but it is a pretty close lane. So that's what's going on with Mark Ingram. I guess what I'm trying to say is 4 weeks in fantasy goes by really quick. You know, the playoffs don't start until week 14. So all I'm saying is, don't take it too seriously. I'm noticing that Mark Ingram is falling to the 4th or the 5th round. I would be fine taking Mark Ingram in the 4th round. Then I could get a superstar running back at some point in the first 2. I could get 2 wide receiver ones. Then I could get Mark Ingram, who's a solid running back too. I just have to wait 4 games. So those are a couple things. I also have noticed a couple players that I cannot believe how low they're ranked. I mean, the main person is Kyle Rudolph, and then another main person is Jimmy Graham, and then Jared Goff. Jared Goff is ranked as like the 20th quarterback. I cannot believe how low their ADP is. I mean, it's actually kind of a joke. At this point, I think if you guys do an ESPN league, you have an advantage because I've noticed that there are some players that are going really late that allows you to get a solid draft by using your picks strategically. I don't know about Yahoo, but some people consider Kyle Rudolph a top 5 tight end. So the fact that he's going at 100 and he's going in like, think like the 8th round. So I also want to pay attention to where people are starting to reach for defenses and also starting to reach for kickers. What round? And I think that that'll help you guys because that'll give you guys a general idea in terms of, okay, I need to get these, and then if I want to reach for somebody, this is when I need to do it. That's really the point of mock drafts is, you take some notes, you write down some trends. There's also been, hold on, ESPN Fantasy Football. So there's a little tier that I want to sit and talk to you guys about. I think it's running back 11 through running back 13, and what it involves LaShawn McCoy, Devontae Freeman, and Christian McCaffrey, and I think maybe one more. I don't know the rankings off the top of my head. Let me find out. Okay. LaShawn McCoy, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Freeman at running backs 11, 12, and 13. I'm finding that in the second round, a lot of these guys are available, and they're all solid running back twos, but it's very debatable in terms of who you would choose. Shady is old, however, they feed him. Tyrod Taylor left. Christian McCaffrey, now that Jonathan Stewart left, it's him, and it's all him. Pardon me. Now that Jonathan Stewart left, it's all Christian McCaffrey. And then Devontae Freeman, he was falling off a little bit last year, but you never know with him. And plus, Devontae Freeman shares a backfield with Tevin Coleman, keep in mind. So, they could spontaneously pass more. They could spontaneously bring Tevin Coleman in. So the way I see it is this is a tier: Bell, Gurley, Johnson, Zeke, then Kamara, Barkley, Hunt, and then there's a third tier of Cook, Delvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette. And it's kind of interesting. One thing that I would be very happy with would be having Kenyon Drake as like a third running back, maybe Derrick Henry. I really, really like to get a strong... Some guy in the chat's talking shit. Okay. So I'm at pick 10. Let's take a look at who's gone so far. If ESPN would let me. Okay. Bell at 1, no surprise. Antonio Brown at 2, no. I would take Gurley at 2. Okay, David Johnson at 3 and Gurley at 4. If I was in the 4th position and I got Todd Gurley, I would be having a parade. That's weird. One thing that I forgot to mention, this is all realistic people. These are all realistic people. There's 10 people, and this is PPR in the draft, and it's 2 wide receivers and a flex. So this is a good measure of where people are actually going. Like at what point are people reaching for defenses, for kickers, for quarterbacks? And it's a perfect example of, for example, compared to like an ADP draft simulator. Here, maybe somebody takes Alvin Kamara first or second. I don't agree with it, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's real people. So, okay. I'm up next. It looks like either way. Oh, no. I'm up in 2 turns. So it looks like I'm hoping that either I'm going to get Kareem Hunt or Alvin Kamara. However, if I don't get one of those, okay, Saquon Barkley's gone. Okay. No, please don't pick Kareem Hunt. Please don't pick Kareem Hunt. Yes. Okay. So I was able to get Kareem Hunt as my running back, and right now I have a choice between Michael Thomas or Leonard Fournette. I don't really see... Like here, I'll scroll down a little bit and I'll make an example for you guys. Okay, Adam Thielen or Doug Baldwin. Don't get me wrong, Michael Thomas is a level above them, but not to the point where I should pass on Leonard Fournette. He's a running back 1. I'm going to take a running back 1 as my running back 2. Okay, so I chose Leonard Fournette. Okay, so we're going to have a while before my next turn, so let's talk some friggin' fantasy. Okay, so Jerick McKinnon is at running back 15. He's right in front of Kenyon Drake. I'm surprised that Drake is 16 because the Dolphins brought in somebody, so I figured that it's not like it would be like Jerick McKinnon, Kenyon Drake, because Jerick McKinnon is the workhorse in San Francisco now. I could honestly see a draft strategy where either you'd pick 2 wide receivers and then you get Jerick McKinnon, or you pick a wide receiver and then a running back in either way, first or second round, and then getting Jerick McKinnon as a running back 2. Keep in mind that this is PPR. I wouldn't mind maybe getting a top 10 wide receiver in the second round and then maybe getting Jerick McKinnon as my running back 2. That would be okay. I feel like Jerick McKinnon, he's like a poor man's Christian McCaffrey a little bit, or he's like a Christian McCaffrey Jr., I feel like. And I know he hasn't played yet, but I feel like that's going to be his role. So keep that in mind going into the season. So, okay, is it still, okay, yeah, it's going to be a while before me. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down the ABP, and why don't I try to find you guys maybe some players that you can write down some value players that you can get where you can have a strategy where you go heavy on something, you get a superstar lineup, and then later you fall back on a strong position because you know where it's going. I think that Michael Crabtree's at 61. Carson Wentz it's low for Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz is a little low in ESPN. Crabtree's a little low. I just cannot believe like Kyle Rudolph is like 133. I cannot believe that. It doesn't make sense here. Let's make a list and let's talk about it at the end. Okay. Carson Wentz. Oh, yeah, I already have Jimmy Graham. Whoops, what did I just do? Okay. Talk about Lamar Miller a little bit. Eagles defense is a little low too. Okay, so still 7 picks until me, so why don't we keep looking at rankings? Let's go to quarterback, and there's a part in quarterback which I feel is very, very debatable. So obviously Rodgers is 1, and I'm pretty sure either it's Brady or Russell Wilson at 2 or 3. Okay, so Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, I think you can't really go either. You can't really go wrong with either of those guys in terms of like which one you choose first or whatever. However, sorry guys, I'm slipping up a second. However, there's a point where Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, and Kirk Cousins, they're all interchanged, and I'm noticing that in a lot of rankings. So I think it's a matter of like, do I like Deshaun Watson's upside? Do I like Carson Wentz's kind of a little more solid? So like here, okay, Carson Wentz 4, Cam Newton 5, Deshaun Watson 6. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Preferably, I would take Deshaun Watson over Cam Newton. I don't know if I would take Carson Wentz over Deshaun Watson. We're going to do some research at the end of this video. We're going to look up Deshaun Watson's injury, and we're also going to look at Alshon Jeffrey's injury because it could affect where you're taking him. It's kind of funny that people they're dropping Mark Ingram so far, but Alshon Jeffrey might miss half the season, but yet like his ADP isn't moving. It's just kind of a little interesting. Okay, so my picks coming up. So far I have 2 running backs, so no matter what, I'm going to take a wide receiver. And I have 2, since I chose 10, I have 2 wide receivers in a row. Nope. Okay. No, I don't like you, Tyreek Hill. All right, let me get, is it my, okay, no, it's not. Okay, I'm hoping that I get Baldwin and Fitzgerald here, but my guess is that Baldwin's probably going to go, and that's not going to be very good for my team. Doug Baldwin's a wide receiver 1. After Doug Baldwin, there's a huge drop-off. Yep. Doug Baldwin went. Okay. All right, I guess I have to choose Tyreek Hill. I don't like Tyreek Hill, and I'll take Larry Fitzgerald too. Okay, so that's a weakness in my team so far. So I think there's a chance, guys, that I may have made a mistake because I chose – let me see where running backs are on. Let's see if I made a mistake. I chose Leonard – okay. I chose Leonard Fournette in the second round, and I could have gotten Julio. However, like right now there's like Jerick McKinnon around. Joe Mixon. So I feel like – I ended up with Tyreek Hill when I could have had Julio, and I feel like I would rather have like Julio and like Joe Mixon instead of like Leonard Fournette and like Tyreek Hill, or like Jerick McKinnon. Like I'd rather have Julio and Jerick McKinnon than Tyreek Hill and Leonard Fournette. So I did make a mistake, but this is why you do mock drafts, because you make a mistake and you learn from it, and that way that position pops up again and it doesn't help. One thing that I recommend doing prior to your draft is to try to find out your draft position as soon as, like, just right away, and then you can go in mock drafts, you can put in PPR standard, you can choose how many leagues, and then you can draft from that position. You can see, okay, what are some players that I'm likely to get in the first round? What are some players that are going to be around in the second round? But obviously no drafts are the same, so what I usually do is I'll do 5 or 10 mock drafts and I'll do sample sizes. And I will dissect the samples and kind of get an idea. Okay, so it's forever until I don't know why I'm even talking. Okay, let's look something up. Let's take a look at Alshon Jeffrey's injury. Turns out Alshon Jeffrey was injured all season. Okay, I bet this has something about it. Scroll to the end. I think I heard somebody say that Alshon Jeffrey's going to be out for 6 months. So, like, for example, we should be mindful of that because if we're taking Alshon Jeffrey as our wide receiver too, you know what I mean? That sets us up. It just sets it up bad. Okay. All right, it's not really looking like, You see something. I'm going to click on Alshon Jeffrey and maybe see if it might say something about his injury. And if not, maybe we can go to Yahoo and look that up. Okay, so Alshon Jeffrey is 18th in ESPN's PPR rankings. Let me see something. Okay. I don't think that this will have anything about it, but I'm just going to try anyway. Where am I coming up? Okay, it's still a while before me. Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, like hypothetically, if Alshon Jeffrey were injured for half the year, Nelson Aguilar's value would skyrocket because he would be their number one wideout. And also, okay. No, okay, it doesn't say anything about it. And Zach Ertz's value would also go up because he's getting Alshon Jeffrey's targets. Okay. Oh, God, I hate my wide receivers. I hate how I have Tyreek Hill and Larry Fitzgerald. I do not like that, guys. Okay. Demaryius Thomas. Allen Robinson. I liked, this is probably going to make people mad, but, this is just how I'm thinking. I'm not trying to be biased. I typically avoid Detroit Lions players and Cleveland Browns because they always seem to disappoint. And I'm not saying that it means that they're going to disappoint. Keep in mind that this is just my opinion, but this has been kind of what I've been doing. Okay. Allen Robinson or Julian Edelman. Allen Robinson is going to be a target hog. He's really the only person. Oh, it's not even my spot to draft. Okay. I'm talking all this game. Okay. I'll take Allen Robinson as my flex. And right now I need to get a third running back as a safety blanket. So I'm going to choose Derrick Henry as my third running back. So that is a strength. I have Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, and Derrick Henry as my 3 running backs. Now I don't have to worry about running backs anymore. I have 3 that are good. I usually flex a wide receiver. However, that's just me. So right now I have 3 wide receivers. So this is the part where I'm being mindful of where the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is going to go, where Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, and Kirk Cousins, they're all upper tier quarterbacks. And let me see what tight ends are around right now. Okay. Delaney Walker, Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, and then Kyle Rudolph and Jimmy Graham. Okay. This round, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but what I'm guessing I'm probably going to do is this round, I'm probably going to take a quarterback, and then I'm going to make sure that I get the Jaguars. I'm hoping that a tier 1 quarterback will be around. Then I can get the Jaguars, and then down here, Kyle Rudolph or Jimmy Graham. I think Kyle Rudolph will probably be gone, but maybe Jimmy Graham will still be around for my next pick. So it's definitely kind of an interesting situation. For example, if Kyle Rudolph and Jimmy Graham, if they weren't ranked this late, then I probably would choose a tight end before a defense, or maybe I would go tight end defense and then maybe just snag a mediocre quarterback later. like I said, Matt Ryan and Jared Goff are going very late, and I don't think that having your quarterback be Jared Goff is the end of the world. I think it's fine. So maybe these next two picks, maybe I can use as a tight end, and then I'll probably try to get the Jaguars. That's probably what I'm going to do, and then maybe I'll probably honestly, unless Wentz is around. Okay, we'll see. Sorry, guys. I'm passionate. I'm so passionate about fantasy. It's so much fun. So leave a comment, guys. Let me know. I want to know, has anybody here ever won their league, or have they ever won a lot of money on DraftKings? Leave a comment. I want to know the story because the feeling is amazing. Okay, so I try to avoid Cleveland Browns and Detroit Lions players because historically they've shut down. I feel like another argument can be made. Oh, no. I mean, the Colts. I know T.Y. Hilton had a good fantasy year 2 seasons ago, and Andrew Luck was hurt last year, so maybe the Colts just had an off year last year because of Luck. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Andrew Luck. However, I would like to talk about a couple of backfields that I'm going to make a point. Got it. Okay. Jeez. I was going to say, why is this taking so long for my pick? Are you kidding me? Oh, yep. All right, good. I thought maybe it might have auto-picked. Some backfields that, without a doubt, I'm going to avoid are the Oakland Raiders backfield. I'm not touching any of them. They have like a 4 running back committee. I'm going to stay away from the Patriots because Belichick is very unpredictable. With how his strategy works, maybe one week he's like, you know what, I'm going to feed somebody, and then the next week he's like, no, you know what, I'm going to give this person a chance. So I'm probably going to stay away from them. Okay, let me see. Oh, the Jaguars are gone. Not happy about that. So this is a perfect example of defenses going early. All right, I'm going to take the Eagles because they're a little bit in their own lane. Let's take a look at. Okay, Kyle Rudolph is in his own lane right here. Let's see what quarterbacks are around. Okay, Kirk Cousins is around. Last chance to get a tier 1 tight end in Kyle Rudolph or Jimmy Graham. I'm going to choose Kyle Rudolph. And then I'll dig up a good quarterback later. I think I'm smart enough to do that. So just then I had 2 back-to-back picks, and I chose the Eagles D, and I also chose Kyle Rudolph. I was hoping to get the Jaguars D, however, the Eagles D I think is second, and there was a little bit of a tier gap between the Eagles and you start a D. So next I'm probably going to get Greg Zuerlein, which is early to draft a kicker, but I don't care. And I'm hoping to get Kirk Cousins. If not Cousins, I'm going to get Drew Brees. However, I only have 3 wide receivers, so it might not be a bad idea maybe to see if there's any. Okay, if I don't think that this is going to happen, but if Devin Funchess falls to me, I'll take him. I'm eyeballing Marquise Lee and Marquise Goodwin a little bit. Where's Nelson Aguilar? Okay, I have a man crush on Nelson Aguilar. I think I've said that in a couple other videos. So if I have the opportunity to get a quarterback and a 4th wide receiver, a 4th wide receiver, I might do that. And then I just have to risk not getting Greg Zuerlein, unfortunately. It is what it is. But I don't like not having the Jaguars. I don't like not having Greg Zuerlein because when you look at your team and at the bottom it's like Jacksonville, Greg Zuerlein, you're like, oh my God, yes. Fantasy is won by points overall. So I'd have to say that having a tier 1 defense and having a tier 1 kicker is just as important. Okay. Interesting. These people in the chat are talking about Alvin Kamara. One guy was like, I really hope I get Zeke at 9. Yeah, you're not going to get Zeke at 9, bro. So I've been looking at I've been listening to a couple podcasts and a couple running back rankings, and I've noticed that people are putting the wide receivers as Brown, Hopkins, Odell, and then Devontae Adams at 4. Now, I understand that Jordy left Green Bay and Adams is going to be his only wide receiver. However, if I had a choice between like Devontae Adams and Julio, I don't know if I would choose Devontae Adams. I would probably choose Julio. I think that Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams are pretty similar. I would probably choose Devontae Adams over Keenan Allen. However, I'd say that it can probably be debated. So that is a topic that what I usually do is I usually take 2 running backs early and then I get a third wide receiver. As you guys saw in this situation, I could have gotten Kareem Hunt and Julio, and then gotten like Devontae Freeman as my Jerick McKinnon. And instead, I chose Leonard Fournette, and then I got stuck with Tyreek Hill as my wide receiver 1. I don't like that. I don't like having a wide receiver 2 as my wide receiver 1. I'm not happy about that. I have Larry Fitzgerald. He's a solid wide receiver 2, and then I have Kyle Rudolph as my tight end. And Allen Robinson is a solid flex who's going to be a target hog. Okay. I'm going to get Greg Zuerlein here because, honestly, I feel like I would only take Greg Zuerlein here, but the thing about it is you start a kicker, so I feel like Greg Zuerlein is just more valuable. Okay, so I took Cousins, and then let me see if Funchess is still around. Okay, you know what? I have to take Funchess. The fact that Funchess fell this late, I have to just pray that Greg Zuerlein stays around. And this, to be honest, guys, this could be another learning experience because maybe, for example, I should have taken Greg Zuerlein there, and then maybe there's like a quarterback similar to Kirk Cousins that's around in the next round. So that's what I'm saying is that's the point of fantasy drafts. Mistakes. Leonard Fournette over Julio. Okay, and then why don't we see? I don't know what round it is. I'm too tired to think of it. Chose Cousins and Funchess, and we'll see how that works out. We'll see if Greg Zuerlein's gone, which he most likely is going to be, and then if not, maybe a quarterback will be around or something. So right now we're in the 10th round. Why don't I talk to you guys about what players are still around? Let me see what it's like. Okay, Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Matthew Stafford, and Drew Brees is still around in the 10th round. Drew Brees. This video can be extremely useful to people who play in ESPN Fantasy League. I'm not quite sure how much you guys actually play in. Yeah, I think somebody just took Greg Zuerlein. Nope, he's still around. Okay. I'm not quite sure how much you guys play in ESPN Fantasy Leagues because they outlawed cash games. So now you can't do cash games anymore. So Yahoo, I think, is kind of taking over. I'm not quite sure why ESPN did that. Okay, so these next 2 picks are auto pick, and for that reason, I think it's going to help me. If these 2 people don't choose Greg Zuerlein, then I can get Greg Zuerlein, and then I'll have a defensive kicker. I'm guessing running backs are garbage. I wouldn't mind Isaiah Crowell. Let me see, is Greg. Nice. I got Greg Zuerlein. Okay. Okay, so right now I have 4 wide receivers. I have 3 running backs. I think it's about time that I look for upside. Oh, Chris Thompson would be a good choice. I have a quarterback. You know what? Hold on, let me see what tight ends are around. Tyler, okay. Tight ends are garbage. I'm going to take Drew Brees right here. A lot of people wouldn't recommend getting a second quarterback, and I don't recommend it, but the fact that my quarterbacks are Kirk Cousins and Drew Brees, I know that my quarterbacks are straight 100. And honestly, if both of them have good years, I could trade one of them and get a player where I'm weak. So that's one thing that I really want to teach you guys is that you should look at players as assets that you can get stuff. So for example, let's just say if you don't need a position and maybe you have all of your positions filled, you're at the point in the draft where you're just picking for upside, and you see maybe a top tier defense lying around, maybe a good quarterback like Drew Brees, and it's really late, take them, because then maybe you have really weak playoffs for a player. You want to trade that player to maximize your points in week 14, 15, and 16, and then you have your players are assets. One thing that made me really happy was last year, I actually discovered the Jaguars defense before everybody else, because in the first 4 or 5, I put a lot of time into fantasy during the year. It's actually the best thing in my life, which I don't know. I can't tell if that's sad or if that's healthy, but I feel like fantasy is a better hobby than drinking, gambling, or doing drugs. Okay. Drinking a lot, not social drinking. Social drinking's fine. I don't want you guys to think that I'm throwing shade at anybody. So, okay, the point I was making was I found the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was looking at schedules on Yahoo, and just a heads up in case you guys don't know this, Yahoo has a thing where you can click on your player and you can go to their schedule, and then okay, let's just say I have T.Y. Hilton. If I look at who he plays in maybe say week 13, the defense that he's playing against, Yahoo gives a ranking out of the league of how many fantasy points that defense allows to wide receivers. So I saw that the Jacksonville running back had a very good second easy half schedule, and I picked them up, and I also got the Ravens, and I held on to the Jaguars and the Ravens just out of sheer control. I had the two best defenses last year, and I could tell that I pissed people off because I just hung on to them and just used a roster spot. So yeah, it really is. It's about control. One thing that I recommend doing, guys, is installing an app called SleeperBot. There's a setting where you can have injuries or suspensions pop up on your phone immediately, similar to a text message. So I think 1 or 2 years ago, Doug Martin got suspended late in the season, and I saw it, and I picked up Jacquizz Rodgers off of free agency, and I got a number one running back just by having that app. So I think that's a small change that you guys can do. I recommend starting in week 2, taking a piece of paper and writing out who your players play in weeks 14, 15, and 16, which to me are your playoffs, and then maybe say, let's just say I have a running back, and maybe he plays the Jaguars, the Broncos, and then the Baltimore Ravens in your playoffs. You don't want to have that running back. I mean, sure, if he's good, but that's ways that you can maybe try to trade and strategize and maybe get a better player. Okay. All right, it's my pick. So I have 2 quarterbacks, I have 4 wide receivers, I have 3 running backs, and then I have a kicker and I have a defense. I only have 1 tight end. Let me see who's around. Let me see if there's any bargain wide receivers. Ooh, yeah. Ginn. Oh, okay. Good. Okay. I'm running out of time. I got to hustle here. Okay. I'm going to take a second tight end. I get anxiety sometimes, and I get anxiety sometimes, and a lot of people would be like, dude, never take a second tight end, idiot. But honestly, I don't care. Okay. Carlos Hyde. All right, I'm going to take Martavius Bryant. I don't like it, but I'm just going to take him because I could have taken Aaron Jones. However, I think that out of the 3 Green Bay running backs between Ty Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Jamal Williams, I think Jamal Williams is least likely to. Hold on, let me look at something. Let me see where the Green Bay running backs are ranked. I want to see what ESPN experts think. Oh, these are wide receivers, idiot. I really hope that you guys are enjoying this video so far. Both of us, we all have a passion for fantasy, and I think that I have a quote that, and what it is if something makes you feel happy and something makes you feel alive, stay close to it, do it. It's not some wisdomy poetic quote, but I just feel like it's a little bit of a fact. So I want to give you guys some brownie points for watching this video. You know what I mean? Okay, let's take a look at the Green Bay running backs. Okay, Jamal Williams is first at 35. Aaron Jones is 46, and Ty Montgomery is 49. Okay, so to be honest, I don't know if that really means that much. I'm going to kind of take that with a grain of salt, not because they're necessarily wrong, but just because I'm not quite sure if there's really any way to even know. I'm guessing that probably closer to training camp is when we're gonna start to figure out who is getting the first team reps. Are they gonna go to a committee, etc. So, okay, all right. So, where's Tyler Eifert? I thought Tyler Eifert was available. Okay, so I'm gonna choose Tyler Eifert. He's my third tight end, but the reason why I'm doing this is because of how I look at players as assets. So, let's just say, for example, if Tyler Eifert has a good year, I can maybe trade him. I can trade Kyle Rudolph, which I already have. So, okay, and I'm actually really happy right now because Ted Ginn Jr. is available. I think I typed him up. He's going very late, and if you think about it, Ted Ginn Jr. is Drew Brees' number 2. So I strongly recommend targeting Ted Ginn Jr. and Mohamed Sanu late, Nelson Aguilar late. Nelson Aguilar goes early, then it goes like Nelson Aguilar pretty early, and then I think it goes Mohamed Sanu like pretty late, and then Ted Ginn Jr. very late. So I want to encourage you guys maybe to snag one of those because you're telling me that I can get Drew Brees' number 2 wide receiver in the last round. Why wouldn't I do that? That's fantastic value. Okay, so let's take a look at my team. My quarterbacks are straight 100. I have Kirk Cousins and Drew Brees. I have Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette as my running back 1 and running back 2. I have Tyreek Hill as my wide receiver 1. That's a weakness. Larry Fitzgerald is my wide receiver 2. That's not a strength, but it's fine. Allen Robinson is my flex. That's a strength because they're going to feed Allen Robinson like a lion. Derrick Henry is my third running back. That's a strength. Kyle Rudolph and Tyler Eifert and Austin Seferian-Jenkins. That's good. It's not a strength, but it's good. It's above average. I have Greg Zuerlein, who's the best kicker in the league, as my kicker, and I'm happy about that. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, so I had to settle for the Eagles. And I don't like that. So in my opinion, that's a weakness. You guys may just be like, dude, whatever, but I like having top tier players as my starters, and then I like having depth, as I'm sure all of you guys do. So okay. So I think we had a couple topics that we wanted to talk about. I wasn't able to get Charles Cousins over. Oh wow, I forgot to look something up. Okay. So I wasn't, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. I wasn't able to get information on Alshon Jeffrey's injury. I'm not sure if he's going to miss half the year. I think closer to the season, we'll probably hear some of the experts and the people talk about that. So I definitely think that you guys should listen to them and take their considerations into the value of Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz. Should I maybe pass on Alshon Jeffrey and maybe go down one to Stephon Diggs? Maybe I take Demaryius Thomas instead of Alshon Jeffrey, maybe Michael Crabtree. Because if Alshon Jeffrey's missing half the season, that's similar to an 8-game suspension in my books. So I want to, that's about it. Like I said, I'm really surprised how late Kyle Rudolph and Jimmy Graham are going. I feel like you could go the strategy where you choose 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, not in that order, just without the first 6 rounds. And then you could maybe take a quarterback. And then if you didn't take, so that's maybe a quarterback in the 7th and then maybe either a fourth wide receiver or a defense in the 8th. And then in the 9th, Kyle Rudolph or Jimmy Graham will still be around. No, I'm not guaranteeing this in Yahoo leagues. This is only ESPN's ADP. It also depends, are you drafting against a bunch of rookies that just listen to what ESPN says to take next, or do you draft against experts that reach for players because they have fantasy intel? So I really want you guys to keep that in mind. That's something that I discovered today. Today is May 12th, 2018, and the ESPN Draft Lobby is now available. So that's something that's better than Fantasy Pros and Fantasy Football Calculator. You might be able to play against 3 or 4 realistic people, but most of the time, about half of the draft is just computers, so that really doesn't take into realistic drafts. So I'm really encouraging you guys, do some mock drafts, take some notes. If you have man crushes on any players, maybe do 1 or 2 drafts and write down where they went, what round they went in, what pick they went in, and then you can see, who is reaching for these players. And I strongly recommend using ESPN because right now, all the ESPN lobby, it's all realistic people that are good at fantasy, probably because they think about it it's probably better people as opposed to average people. So I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. Thank you for watching my video. Stay out of trouble, guys. Chase your dreams. Have a nice night. Thank you very much, guys. Hey, guys. I just thought that I would add a little bit of a bonus to the end of this video. I analyzed some draft results, and here are some players that are going way too late according to ESPN's ADP and in ESPN Mock Drafts. Okay, so the first player is Mark Ingram in the 4th round. I still think, despite his 4-game suspension, I still think that Mark Ingram's a running back 1, and I think that 4 games goes by really fast, but I said that earlier in the video. Amari Cooper is a wide receiver 2, and he's going in the 7th round. That's way too late. He's a bargain. Kyle Rudolph is going in the 8th round. That he's like a top tier tight end. He's a 2nd tier tight end behind the big 3, Gronk, Hurts, Kelsey. Kirk Cousins is going in the 9th round. That is a complete bargain. Devin Funchess is going in the 10th round. Keep in mind, guys, that Devin Funchess is Carolina's number 1 wide receiver, and he's going in the 10th round. Jimmy Graham on Green Bay is going in the 10th round. Drew Brees is going in the 12th. I feel like the last 2 or 3 years, Drew Brees has been in the tier with Rodgers and Brady. So the fact that Drew Brees is going in the 12th amazes me. Foreman is going in the 14th. I've heard rumors of Lamar Miller either getting cut or them giving Foreman more work. If something were to happen to Lamar Miller, if they were to part ways, he would be their number 1 running back. And lastly, you can get Ginn Jr., also known as Drew Brees' number 2 wide receiver in the 16th round. So I'm also going to be copy and pasting these in the description, guys. Thanks.